Welcome back to another episode of Sean and Ed's Do Baseball.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Eds.
We're here bringing you baseball history.
That's right, we're a bi-weekly baseball history podcast where the story catcher doesn't know what the story pitcher is out toeing the rubber, throwing them.
That's right, and we're here to cross up each other and fuck with each other.
That's right. Sorry. What do we call it? What do we call it? The cross-up league?
Yeah, we're starting the cross-up league. Baseball's more interesting if the catchers don't know what's coming. But besides our little shitty bit, where can people find us, Edsy?
They can find us on Twitter, x.com, @doingbaseball, and on Instagram and TikTok @doing.baseball. And I'm on Twitter, x.com, @edsdobaseball.
And I'm at Sean Do Baseball. And wherever you're listening to us, however you're listening to us, it would be great if you could give us a review, give us a follow. It helps us with visibility. And wherever you are, however you're listening, thanks for listening.
Yeah, let me echo that too. Thank you for listening.
And let's echo a thanks to our sponsor today, Two Loons Brewing. You can find Two Loons Brewing at twoloonsbrewing.com. A couple great guys making great beers. We got an IPA, we got a lager out. Look for their brick and mortar location coming soon. And if you're going to an LCBO or you're around Ontario this summer at beer festivals, look out for your Two Loons Brewing beers because they're delicious.
That's right. And of course, please be of legal drinking age and enjoy responsibly.
Okay.
You're not gonna use the same segue for a third straight story this time, right?
This guy doesn't drink really. Well, he might. I mean,
He's a bit of a teetotaler.
He's a nice guy.
I like that word,
Teetotaler. We had some words in the last one that we really liked as well. He's not a teetotaler per se, but there's no drunk stories. There's no. I mean, there's a little bit of alcohol at the end, but it's a business. So
a little nightcap.
Little nightcap for this story, but generally, this guy was nice. I think too nice. You'll hear. I'll surmise at the end. On Christmas Day, 1856, and quite possibly 1855, but generally 1856, Major League Baseball's first 300-game winner was born in St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh, okay. 1856.
Yeah. James Francis Galvin was son of Irish immigrants Martin Galvin and Bridget McTeague. He was the oldest child of 9 children, though only 5 survived infancy, not infantry.
That's pretty normal to not survive infantry.
That's pretty high casualty rate. I think the Army would tell you that. But either way, apparently the Army is safer than being an Irish immigrant family in St. Louis in the 1850s.
Okay, so hold on. Recap that for me again.
He's the oldest of 9 children.
Yes.
Only 5 would survive infancy.
Okay.
His next 3 brothers.
They lost 4.
His next 3 brothers all died.
Okay.
And
so he was first, and then 4 died, and then
3 died.
3 died,
and then there was a few more, and then another one died. I think there might have been one after that.
Is this important?
No, not at all. Okay, the family lived in Carey Patch, which was a rough Irish neighborhood just northwest of downtown St. Louis. The area was poor, as poor could be. It had been recently settled by Irish immigrants from Kerry in southwest Ireland who were fleeing the famine in the 1840s. Historian Eaton Diamond wrote, and I quote, "The immigrants quickly built homes, small makeshift shanties arranged along no particular street pattern. These irregular and poorly constructed homes gave rise to the derogatory term shanty Irish."
Okay. So they're in little crappy homes.
They're in little shitty homes. He's very poor. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And he's living in a rough neighborhood. Still, although a little rough around the edges, James seemed to have a kind disposition. Even as a child, he used his wit rather than his fists to get out of tough situations in his neighborhood. So he grew up poor, but not, he doesn't join Irish gangs or whatever is the problem at the time, or like the neighborhood equivalent, and starting to receive training as a steam fitter or blacksmith. Probably at an age we'd probably consider a child, like 12 or 13.
Yeah, which was considered fashionable at the time.
Well, he's the oldest son as well, right?
That's true.
And his his brothers and sisters are 11, 12 years younger than him because 3 died in the middle.
Because of the time. And yes.
Yeah, so he probably looked like a steam fitter, though, Edsy. Definitely more than a baseball player, with a thick, short build and a fucking sick mustache.
Sweet. That sounds like a baseball player, though, frankly.
Sure. So he's about 5'8", and he weighs around 180, 190.
Okay.
So he's a big boy.
Mm-hmm.
And this is early in his career. Things change. He kept his dark brown hair short and had small hands but relatively big feet. In a lot of articles, they mention his feet are size 9. I don't know if that's big for the time, but
okay.
I guess it was.
Doesn't seem that big.
Yeah, but it's the 80s or 70s, actually, at this point.
Uh-huh.
His broad shoulders left him without much of a neck, which would get worse as he aged and gained weight.
Mm-hmm. I'm picturing like an egg.
Yeah, kind of Eggman. A little bit, but he's got hair.
Humpty.
Yeah, he's got hair and a mustache.
Okay.
Sam Crane, not the murdering one.
Okay.
Not the one that killed people, would say, Jimmy's bull neck sunk into his wide spread of shoulders like the head of a mud turtle into its shell.
That's a great description.
He was a writer.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
He's good with words.
Just saying, that's a good one.
Yeah. Galvin's baseball journey would begin in 1874 in St. Louis as a member of the Turner Club. The next year, he appeared as a member of the Empire Club, but on May 22nd, 1875, Galvin was called upon to fill in for the St. Louis Brown Stockings' primary starting pitcher, George Bradley, after Frank Fleet failed to satisfy management. So, Bradley's hurt, and the next guy up, and there's only one pitcher on a team, or 2 pitchers on a team, is Frank Fleet, and he sucks.
No.
So
like, get Galvin up here.
They call on Galvin, May 22nd, 18 years old. He was called to Chicago to pitch against the White Stockings. He would lose 6-2, but the Chicago Tribune wrote of Galvin, and I quote, "He proved to be a player of no ordinary ability. He uses the underhand throw, delivers a ball with great speed, and is not unlike Bradley in his general style. The White Stockings did not find as easy a customer as they might have been expected from an unknown amateur."
Okay, so they're impressed.
Yeah. He loses 6-2, but they're like, damn, that was kind of good.
Yeah.
So
could have been much worse.
Could have been much worse, definitely.
He's not as bad as that other guy.
Frank Fleet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Galvin would win his next 2 starts. I wonder if...
So they're saying that Bradley's the good guy that's hurt. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they see speckles of Bradley in this guy.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's exactly what they were like. Damn, we were expecting a shitty guy, but this guy's not much different from Bradley. So he would win his next 2 starts. So in 3 games, he goes 2-1. But Bradley gets healthy again and returns. So Galvin went back to amateur baseball. But was called upon occasionally for the rest of the year when Bradley needed a rest. And he made only 4 more starts during the year, along with 1 relief appearance. The 18-year-old Galvin finished the year with 62 innings pitched and a ridiculous 1.16 ERA.
That's quite impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the ERAs are much lower at this time, but still.
Yeah. And this is where, I don't know exactly when he gets it, but you might know James Galvin from his nickname, which is Pud.
Oh, okay. Yes, I have heard of Pud Galvin.
Yeah. So great. This time I got there without you guessing who the fuck it was.
Yeah. Wokan boy.
So he was, according to some, making batters look like pudding.
Okay.
So they call him Pud. I mean, I guess it could be Pud.
Yeah.
But it's P-U-D. So, anyways. This is
Bit of a
Pud.
stretch.
This is Pud Galvin. So the Brown Stockings would move from the National Association into the newly formed National League the next year, and Galvin did not stay with the team. And they definitely wish they had, because Pud Galvin would make history the next year. On July 4th, 1876, in an exhibition game against the National League's Philadelphia club, Galvin threw a no-hitter.
Nice. The first one?
The first one.
Okay.
But remember, he's not playing in the National League, so
No.
it's like just...
It doesn't really count?
It doesn't really count, yeah.
Is it recorded as the first one?
Well, I'm going to get to that. Actually, it's very impressive.
I think I know who threw the second one.
Yeah. Well, at the time, the term perfect game was not yet in the baseball vocabulary.
Oh,
so
okay.
the Ionia Sentinel said, "The Cass boys did not make a base hit or reach first base during the game. Each man of the club batted 3 times, and each was put out 3 times."
Mm-hmm. Sounds like a perfect game to me.
Exactly. So, yeah. To make things even more impressive, 6 weeks later, during a tournament held either way, he did a no-hitter, and then either way, I repeat myself here. Either way, he also threw a no-hitter. There was also a no-hitter in there, in Iowa, where his defense, he didn't walk a guy, but his defense made 3 errors.
Right, so perfect game and no-hitter.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, all the same thing. So Galvin was adjusting to...
Was it no-hitter? Was this like the first no-hitter as well?
No, there was no hitters before this.
Okay.
I think who we've covered before, John Montgomery Ward, had one like a month or 2 before this.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what I was going to... I thought that he had thrown the second perfect game. That was going to be my other guess, but maybe he was the second no-hitter.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, either way, he throws a no-hitter earlier in the day and then throws a perfect game later in the day against the Cass Club of Detroit. I said Cass Club, but I didn't say they were from Detroit. Anyways, Galvin was adjusting to life as a ball player, but was still a Kerry Patch boy for sure. That got a little racist. Sorry. You're Irish. Yeah. I'm allowed. I'm a friend.
I'm not offended.
He wore flannel shirts.
It was terrible, but...
He wore flannel shirts. This was also a big deal. His feet size, his hand size, which was small, and the fact that he wore flannel shirts a lot.
It's covered a lot? Gets a lot of coverage?
Yeah, so the flannel shirts, I guess, was like low class at the time.
Okay, yeah.
And he preferred to eat with his fingers. Some of his teammates...
And?
Exactly.
So do I.
It's baseball food, man.
Yeah.
Some of his teammates found it disgusting and would not eat with Galvin on the road.
Even how he eats a hot dog.
No fork and knife.
Sickening.
They even requested that he eat alone in the kitchen than with the team.
Oh, God. That's not very nice.
And your food is in there.
Yeah. Old hands eater. Jesus.
I mean, it's a salad. Like, just get a fork, man. So in 1877, Galvin joined Allegheny Club of Pittsburgh in the new International Association. In 18 games, Pud would go 12-6 with a 2.39 ERA over 132 innings pitched. This is pretty good, not pitching a lot considering the time, as we'll get to here. And then he moves on. He'll go back to Pittsburgh, but he moves on. He finds his long-term home in 1878 with the Buffalo Bisons, who he would play for the next 7 years. And
nice.
Honestly, one of the biggest things at this time is Pud Galvin becomes a great pitcher at the same time Old Hoss Radford does. Okay. And they were teammates very briefly in his early years on the Bisons, but Old Hoss, if you remember, wasn't even pitching at that time. He plays like second base outfield for them for like 20 games and then ends up in Providence and becomes the greatest pitcher ever.
Yeah.
But Galvin plays for the Bisons and nobody gives a fuck about Buffalo. Mm-hmm. So that's why he's relatively not spoken of at the same. So the fact that he played in a small market and the fact that Old Haas.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's sort of being overshadowed by Old Haas at the same time.
Yeah. So he recorded one of the greatest seasons in baseball history, and this is like a year before the Bisons actually joined the National League. So once again, he's kind of like pushed out of the history books here a little bit. Mm-hmm. He's in the International League, I believe. And I'll just quote from Saber Bio by Charles Hosberg, who did a lot of heavy lifting for me on this one. That Saber Bio is particularly amazing. And I quote, "In 1878, the Bisons played 116 games and went 81-32 with 3 ties. Galvin pitched 101 games, completing 96 of them and compiling a 72-25 record with 3 ties. He threw 17 shutouts and went 10-5 against National League teams. He pitched every inning of the team's first 23 games and went the distance in 22 consecutive contests between September 2nd and October 4th. The last 3 games of this stretch included a 12-inning victory over the Boston Red Stockings on October 2nd and a 13-game victory over Providence of the National League the next day. It is estimated that Galvin threw 895 innings that year."
Jesus fucking Christ. Because I know, well, I don't know directly off the top of my head what the number of innings pitched for Old Hoss Radburn was, but it was a lot. But I think it was only like 600 or something like that.
I think it was high 600s. We can look it up, but we get
You're talking 200 more innings, which is a fucking great season for a pitcher today.
And the team went 81-32, and Pud Galvin went 72-25. But remember, this is the year before they joined the National League,
right?
So it
doesn't really count.
It's not a National League record.
Right.
Because
it's an International League record.
But also, he did go 10-5 against National League teams in those contests that they did play against National League teams, even though I guess that doesn't count against. It's a whole thing.
Weird.
It's weird. Galvin was not just turning hitters into pudding, but his short rectangular stature led him to be known from another moniker, the Little Steam Engine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like he looks like a steam engine.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Despite his, kind of, rough stereotype of, Irish immigrants living, growing up poor at the time and stuff like that, he's very gentle and he's very kind. And his other nickname that you'll see on Baseball Reference is Gentle Jeeves.
Gentle Jeeves.
He's just a chill dude.
Oh, wow.
That's what I mean. There's
a picture of him.
Yeah, there's no cocaine, there's no drugs, there's no alcohol. He's just a chill dude that is tenacious and round.
Looks a little like Fred Flintstone.
A little bit. That's a good comparison. If Fred Flintstone was a pitcher, he would be Pud Galvin. 1879, the Bisons would move to the National League. As I said, the next year, Galvin continued to be their primary pitcher. He pitched 593 innings, winning 37 games with 6 shutouts and an ERA of 2.28. He was second in innings pitched and fourth in wins and ERA in the National League. Buffalo would finish third in their inaugural year, which you're going to hear a fucking lot here for the next little bit.
Okay.
With a record...
Did they finish third?
Yeah, with a record of 46-32. Once again, he could never win. He always was on good teams.
He won, but the team could never win.
The team was always good team, but they never won the pennant. They never, whatever. There's no real World Series at this time. There was the first try at it. But yeah, he never got a pennant. That's a theme. That offseason,
we'll give that away.
Yeah, that offseason, Pud headed west with pick 9, consisting primarily of players from the Cincinnati Red Stockings, including King Kelly. The Chicago White Stockings were also on the tour, and the teams would face each other, as well as local California teams, who they fucking beat the shit out of.
Just killed them.
Yeah, everybody was like, it's much better when the White Stockings and this all-star team play each other, because when we play them, we lose 20-0.
Yeah, that's no fun.
Yeah, so they toured California for 12 weeks, with players arriving on October 5th and leaving on December 19th. But when they went home, Pud Galvin did not go with them. And this is not a Gus White. This is not a gust wing or something, but nothing bad happens, yet. And Galvin
Just felt like spending Christmas here.
Yeah, it's a beautiful coastline.
Yeah.
Galvin was simply doing what he had to do to get paid and told the team he'd stay and play in Cali. So your last story was about a holdout.
Okay, so
he's holding out. This is like 1880. So, anyways, regardless, Pud was obvious.
No reserve clause yet.
No reserve clause yet. So Pud was obviously one of the best pitchers in the game, but the Bisons didn't receive the news well and didn't want to negotiate. So Galvin then signs with the Athletic Club of San Francisco, where he would play alongside future big leaguer and Doing Baseball alum Cliff Carroll.
Oh, Cliffy.
Yeah, this was more or less a leverage tactic by Galvin, probably some insurance too, but his plan to make the Bisons negotiate would work and then horribly backfire.
On who?
On him.
Okay. I'm listening.
Yeah, and this isn't the crazy part, but this is probably the best part if the crazy part didn't exist. So, Galvin.
I don't know what that means, but I'm intrigued.
Galvin began the season in California, but when the Bisons got off to a rough start, they reached out to Galvin and got a $300 a month contract for him to return to Buffalo. So we know that's like $10,000 a month now, kind of ish based on our last recording. It's a good amount of money. He's like, okay, I'm good. And now we go back to the Sabre bio, and I quote, "In February, the California League adopted its constitution, which included clauses to make players honor their team commitments. In the words of San Francisco Bulletin, the player is bound by such iron-bound and copper-fasted rules as will make it exceedingly difficult for him to break his contract."
So they're saying, we've made rules that you're under contract to the other team.
To San Francisco.
San Francisco, so, oh, wait.
So he's playing for San Francisco.
Yes.
Buffalo's like, hey, we'll give you the money you want. He's like, all right, I'm on my way home.
Right.
But,
so then they make a law saying, no, you can't. You got to stay.
They had passed it the last winter.
Oh, okay.
They had passed this ironclad, copper-fastened rules, making it exceedingly difficult for any player to break his contract, which is what Pud Galvin wants to do. Remember I said this backfires.
Yeah. Right.
So, and I even write here, and when I say exceedingly difficult, Edsy, I mean exceedingly difficult. So Galvin he starts playing in April, I believe, and then he collects his money for the month of May. And early in May, he skips town under an assumed name. So first of all, they're paying players like the month ahead, which is interesting.
Giving them an advance.
And Galvin knows at this time, like, it's literally the Wild West. Like, he's just got to get out of California.
That is true, yeah.
Like, as long as he gets out of the state, the law doesn't apply to him.
Okay, I see.
So he's like, I'm Jim Kelly, and I'm on my way.
Good Palvin.
Yeah. So Galvin was making a run for the border and planned to meet the Bisons in Cincinnati for a game on May 18th. But Pud didn't make it, as the athletic club had alerted authorities that he was breaking his contract after receiving his next month's pay, and Galvin was apprehended by police before getting out of California.
Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but, like, this would be the time. Like, he could have been, like, riding in, like, a band of horses or something, no?
Yeah, I think he was on a train, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm picturing a real, like cowboy western story here.
Yeah, it's kind of, trust me, we're getting there. There's some, so he is apprehended. I don't know exactly where, but he's outside of San Francisco, like well enough outside of San Francisco that it would take time for him to go back, and he's put in jail. He's apprehended, and the club owners are demanding that he be sent back to San Francisco, like, which is fucking insane. It's just like, this man needs to play baseball for us. Yeah. He's our pitcher.
We own him.
We own him.
It says right here on this card.
Which he did sign a contract, but at the same point, Also, fuck you. So Galvin manages to escape. He most likely bribed his way out.
Uh-huh.
There's no doubt. As you do. There's no other way. Like, it wasn't like the fucking Andy Dufresne did out of there. Like, he had to have just been like, hey, man, I'll give you $20, which is fucking a lot of money now.
It's me, Pud Gal.
It's me. I'll give you. Come.
Get your tickets.
Buffalo. You ever seen Niagara Falls?
Yeah.
Take your wife. It'll be great. You know, a big leaguer now. Anyways, so he gets out of jail. He escapes on May 15th. And Galvin, he bribes his way out of jail. This is from the New York Clipper, and this makes it a little bit more of a Wild West story for you, Edsy.
Okay.
And I quote from the New York Clipper: "The directors of the Buffalo Club induced Galvin's wife to use her influence towards bringing him back. Galvin was telegraphed for, but the manager of San Francisco team would not let him go, and they even threatened to have him arrested should he attempt to leave San Francisco." So I should have put that ahead of time. I just realized as I was reading that quote, Edsy. But they were like, basically used his wife to be like, he needs to come home immediately for non-baseball reasons.
It's an emergency home.
And San Francisco like, you're arrested if you try to leave.
Yeah.
So I think... so they do that, and then the New York Clipper continues, and this is the quote I was getting to. "Galvin asked for his relief. When it was refused, he left for the east. He took the train out of the city some distance, but then left it and walked about 23 miles, which brought him to the state of Nevada." So he has to walk after he, gets out of jail. 23 miles. Probably in the desert. Into the state of Nevada.
That's a country song. That sounds like a country song.
Now it gets worse. In walking across the desert, Galvin's shoes were nearly burned off his feet. He joined the Buffalo Club in Cincinnati, where he related to his old comrades his thrilling adventures.
I walked all the way here. The whole way.
All way. He is banned from the California League very ceremoniously, because Gentle James could give a fuck.
Yeah. He's like, I'm not going back there.
I will never go to California again. And I don't think he does. Think he does. Very few people go to California at that time. It's not that easy at that time. But he never returns to California. So, Galvin makes it to Cincinnati, and he's the winning pitcher on May 22nd. He wins the game. He's like, my feet hurt, but give me the ball.
But my arms are fine.
The Buffalo Express celebrated Galvin's return with a poem. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Could we let our pitcher stay in the Golden City? Could our boys without him play? No, 'twould be a pity. So we pressed our rightful claims and won back our gentle.
That didn't end the way I thought it was gonna.
Neither did I. I thought there was a rhyme at the end there too. But
I thought you were gonna keep going.
Yep, no. But right. he's gentle.
Well, that poem sucked.
And he's gentle.
And he's a gentle guy. Okay.
So, as awesome as that poem was, Etsy, that's what I wrote. I gotta read it. In 1880, it sucked for the Bisons as they went 24, 58, and 3 despite Galvin's return and pitching to a 2.71 ERA over 458 and 2/3 innings. On August 20th, 1880, Pud Galvin threw the 6th no-hitter in Major League history and the first Major League no-hitter by a road pitcher.
Okay.
First pitcher to do it on the road. The Bisons beat Worcester Ruby Legs 1-0 in a miserable rainy game in Worcester. I really was pumped to say Worcester twice.
Worcester.
The game ball became so saturated with water...
with water.
It was like a leather bag filled with jelly.
With jelly.
Shut the fuck up. According to what still Galvin was on, and he would have had a perfect game as the base runners only reached on 6 errors by the Bisons.
6 errors?
Yeah, it's a lot of fucking errors.
Yeah.
They still won 1-0, so you know.
Well, it didn't.
But the ball was wet and jelly-like.
That's right. Slippery.
Yeah.
We've all held jelly.
Yeah. 1881 and 1882, basically identical years. And that's what I have here. The Bisons would add some talent to their lineup, so they were better now. He had a great ERA, but they still couldn't win. They get out of the basement, but both years they finish in third place behind the Providence Grays and the Chicago White Stockings. Each year they finish 10 or 10 and a half games back. So just identical ass, good but underwhelming.
But not
years.
that close.
Yeah. Galvin continued to pitch shocking amounts. He's 24-25 at this point. He would throw 474 innings in 1881 and 445 and a third innings in 1882. Galvin also threw another no-hitter, although this was in an exhibition series at the end of the year against the Athletics, Philadelphia Athletics, I believe, on October 11th, giving up 2 walks along with 2 men reaching base on errors.
How many no-hitters is he up to now?
He's like 5 if you include like the perfect game or something like that. Like, it's a lot.
Okay.
He's very good. Mm-hmm. That winter, Galvin would once again be banned, this time by the American Association.
Like, you're too good.
You're not allowed to play for us. No, he signed what was kind of known as an optional contract. I think they approached him, with the Pittsburgh Alleghenies of the American Association, and they thought they had secured his services. But there was a few other players that they also thought they secured their services. One being Charlie Bennett, who also...
Pittsburgh thought they secured?
Yeah. In Pittsburgh thinks like Charlie Bennett's one, they had like a similar agreement to. And he ends up deciding to stay in the National League, and they take him to court, and they try to force him to play for them. Pittsburgh does, and he wins that court argument. And so basically, any player that signed that contract with the Alleghenies of Pittsburgh, like it's just like, well, you can go play for them, or you can go play for the National League because they already tried to sue Charlie Bennett. And, so he stays in Buffalo. Yeah. He stays in Buffalo. He's like, fuck it. I signed a contract, but I'm going to stay in Buffalo. A little steam engine was just getting going because 1883 and 1884 was fucking just like peak. So 75 games, he led the league with 656 and 1/3 innings pitched, 5 shutouts, and 72 complete games.
Good Lord.
I think that's a record.
Yeah.
I think... That's the record. I don't think Haas got that one. Yeah. Like the innings pitch Haas has, but 72 complete games. Once again, the Bisons finished in third place, 10 games back.
It's like Groundhog Day.
Dude, it's such Groundhog Day. So at the plate, because remember, pitchers hit at this time as well, no matter who you're playing for. Pud hit his first ever career home run, and he was never a good hitter. In fact, he actually led the National League in strikeouts as a hitter almost every year for his first 5 years in the National League.
May I just briefly interrupt you?
Sure.
The most completed games was neither Pud Galvin nor old Haas Radburn.
Okay.
It was actually Will White in 1879 with 75 complete games.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's not too much more than 72.
Yeah.
Okay.
Splitting hairs, but just
fair.
Just throwing.
Yeah, I got a little hot there. I just decided to declare that a record. And you're right to call me on it.
I mean, it's not that far out of the question, though. I want to give some credit to Will White there.
So. Yeah, you got to give credit to Will White.
Yeah.
Well, he continues to shove on the bump. 1884, Galvin continued 71 complete games this time, 1.99 ERA, and another 636 and 1/3 innings pitched, leading the league as well with 12 shutouts. He also...
It's just crazy. I mean, I know you talked earlier, he was throwing underhand, but still...
Yeah, and as his career goes, remember, things are changing.
Yeah, I assume he would have switched to
sidearm and stuff. And his hands, I don't know if I've said this, and I don't even know if
you said they were small.
So he couldn't throw a curveball.
Okay.
But he had a really good change of pace. And he just worked off of a fastball and a changeup.
Marco Estrada style.
Yeah, that was it. He made guys look silly with his changeup. He would just pound the zone because he was really accurate. As you could tell, he has a lot of very low walks and stuff like that. He just was accurate with the fastball and then could throw you a dirty changeup to make you look like a fucking idiot. So yeah. So
pudding.
Pudding. Like pudding. So he misses time with injury as well in that season I just talked about, where he still threw 636 innings. On May 10th in Providence, Galvin hurt himself picking up his suitcase at the Providence's Narragansett Hotel.
What a thing.
So he tweaks his back, like picking up his suitcase. He returns to Buffalo, missing the next 8 games in order to be healthy for the home opener in Buffalo on May 21st. And he throws his second no-hitter a couple months later on August 4th. Like, second no-hitter in the NL, not the overall.
Yeah.
Which is the highest scoring major league no-hitter in history, where the Bisons defeated the Detroit Wolverines 18-0.
Wow.
Yeah. And over this Wolverine series, I think he shuts them out like 2 more times. And later, what's his name? The good pitcher back in like the 1900s, early 1900s for Washington. God damn it. Either way.
Walter Johnson.
Yeah, they're like, oh, he like shut out teams like 3 days in a row. No one's ever done this. And everyone's like, yeah. Well, not everybody, but us nerds are like, yeah, Pud Galvin did that. Yeah. Including a no-hitter. So, you know.
Yeah.
So he hurts himself, but he comes back. He's really strong. No-hitters all around. Bisons went 64-47 and finished 3rd in the
Oh, God. That's 4 times you've said that now?
I think so.
Okay.
I think 4 of his first 5 years in the NL. He finishes 3rd. Yeah, the Providence Grays were just too fucking good. The Bisons delighted baseball cranks outside of Rhode Island, though, when Galvin ended Providence's 20-game win streak, along with Hoss Radburn's personal 18-game win streak on September 9th, 1884. The Evening Telegram wrote, and I quote, "Baseball enthusiasts are indebted to James Galvin."
Okay.
So
it makes sense. Like, you see that happen.
20-game record stood for a fucking long time.
Mm-hmm.
A very long time. Mm-hmm. So, he broke that record. Like, I don't know if we celebrated whoever broke Cleveland's streak, a few years back, but
no, we don't.
Maybe in 30 years, some 2 assholes will talk about that pitcher. Anyways, Radburn was probably the only pitcher better than him throughout this time. And had briefly been on the Bisons. I already talked about that. Unlike Radburn's Grays, the Bisons were good, but not good enough. I've already lamented this way too much to read more about this. Next year, things began to fall apart for the Bisons and Galvin's career, and he slid into a long decline. Galvin would briefly manage the Bisons. I don't know exactly when, but he went 7-17 as manager/pitcher. The team was losing, and to make matters worse, Galvin was hurt in a collision with Cap Anson on June 19th. By mid-July, he had an ERA over 4 and a 13-19 record. So in July, he's sold to the Pittsburgh Alleghenies of the American Association, who he was banned from signing, apparently 5 years ago or 4 years ago, whenever.
They're like, whatever.
Yeah, he's good. So Galvin had been probably been the best pitcher, or second best pitcher in baseball during his time with Buffalo, his 7 years. But he still got a kick in the nuts when he left Buffalo, with one of Buffalo's directors saying to the New York Times on July 14th, 1885, and I quote, "The public demanded change. Both the press and the audiences were growing irritable. We couldn't lose any more games if a pitcher were taken from the grandstand." It's like, dude.
Are they saying that, like, Pud Galvin is comparable to somebody from the grandstand?
Yeah! The dude that, like, pitched...
Dude that fucking just thrown 6 no-hitters?
Yeah, it's wild. Like, our last story, too. It's like...
They just can't be nice? Well,
yeah.
Like, they can't compliment... Like, Pud Galvin served Buffalo very well for 7 seasons, and we wish him well in Pittsburgh.
Sure. Why not? But
that's out of the question.
So, either way, whether it was dejection from being sent away from Buffalo, which was really his home, and, even though he was born elsewhere, or the miles on his arm, he did not pitch well in Pittsburgh, who had aspirations of a pennant. He appeared in only 11 games, going 3-7. Before an arm injury sidelined him on August 26th, Galvin made one more appearance that year on September 18th, and lost to New York in a terrible outing in which he could not complete 4 innings. Galvin told a sports writer he thought his career might be over.
Okay.
So, not a great year, 1885. He gets sent away from Buffalo, and Pittsburgh's like, we're going to win the pennant. We got Pud Galvin.
And he's like,
yeah, exactly. So Galvin returns to Pittsburgh, 1886. He's got a decent year. He started 50 games, posted an ERA of 2.67 over 434 and 2/3 innings pitched. And the Alleghenies would finish second in the American Association, which would be the closest that Pud Galvin would ever get to a pennant. I would be remiss.
You didn't say third.
No, I know. This was 1 second place here. You did
I'm
it.
also amazed that 50 games is like a down year.
No, yeah, it's like
50 starts.
Yeah, it's nothing at the time. So I'd be remiss, Eds, if I didn't talk about Galvin's pickoff move as well, because it is the best pickoff move in the 1800s.
Have you seen it?
No,
Okay.
it doesn't exist. So, you know,
I'm not looking it up.
not looking it up. I don't think you can find video from the 1880s.
I can't.
Mainly because it doesn't exist.
That's right.
So, the move was described as a jumping jack movement, in which Williams Sports Sunday Grit described on June 14th, 1891, and I quote, "He always looks as if he were just ready to deliver the ball. He starts with a half drop of his legs and forward movement of his body without remaining 1 foot from the box. The runner takes a good lead off first. Then with a smile that is childlike and blank, the veteran shoots the ball over to first and catches his man."
Okay. Childlike and blank?
I guess that's a weird thing. That's like a scary child. So apparently he just he picks guys off. It's rumored that in one game in 1886, he walked the bases loaded and then picked off guys at first, third, then second to complete the inning.
Okay. I don't, that's quite impressive. I don't really understand. I'm trying to picture the jumping jack movement. It's stifling me.
Well, I think he's just very calm, very still, and then he jumps and his arms go up to throw the ball. So I think it's just
Okay.
He's just ah, and then he throws to first, and nobody can see me but Edsy here. So yeah, that's what I picture as
It doesn't seem like that'd be tricky at all, but anyway.
yeah, it just seems like a pickoff move. But,
Yeah.
the Alleghenies would move to the National League, so he's back in the National League now. Galvin pitched into his early 30s with the club. He pitched well in 1887 and 1888, and became the first ever pitcher to reach 300 major league victories, as I said in my first sentence. The little steam engine began to slow down, though, in 1889, as he posted an ERA of over 4 for the first time, kind of I say he posted an ERA over 4 earlier when he was with Pittsburgh, but that was half a season. That wasn't a whole season.
Yeah.
So it's the first time he posts an ERA over 4 for a full season.
So the trend continued.
Yeah. Galvin never got a first place finish, but he got to deny one, at least.
We got to play spoiler.
On the last day of the 1889 season, Galvin beat the Boston Bean Eaters to deprive them of a first place finish.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. More importantly than stopping Boston from winning the pennant, in 1889, this is where we get weird, Pud Galvin was the first player to juice.
To juice. Like PEDs,
Remember I said this?
you mean? Ped Galvin?
Ped Galvin. I'm going to muck up this pronunciation, but the brown sequard elixir was invented in 1889 by Charles Brown Sequard, a French-American doctor. The elixir was based around extracts from guinea pig and dog testicles, and was apparently the first known modern treatment that contained testosterone.
They should have kept an eye on that guy.
Dude, it gets weirder.
There's that guy down there. He's messing around with the little fucking rat balls and shit.
He asked me if my dog could hang out with him, and
Yeah, I said no.
so he claims, this Charles Brown Sequard guy, that his elixir made of guinea pig and dog balls.
Nah, it's the dog's bollocks.
Said it could improve mental focus, physical strength, and sexual prowess. And his proof, well, the 72-year-old Charles Brown Sequard injected himself with his guinea pig dog ball concoction for 20 days straight.
Right in the nuts.
Yeah, and he said that he could lift stuff. He was
I can lift stuff too.
He's like, no, this is easy. I can lift this. Look at it.
I'm so strong. It's because of it's because of this.
Yeah.
Where did he inject it?
I guess in his leg or his arm or his butt. Needles are terrifying at this time as well.
Yeah,
I don't want to think about it, and I tried not to.
Okay.
So Pud Galvin was one of the first people to be like, hell yeah, give me some of those dog testes.
Those dog ball inoculations. Hell yeah.
So this is, I believe, from the Washington Post. Galvin was one of the subjects at a test of the Brown Sequard elixir at a medical college in Pittsburgh on Monday. If there still be doubting Thomas's who concede no virtue in the elixir, they are respectively referred to Galvin's record in yesterday's Boston-Pittsburgh game. It is the best proof yet furnished of the value of the discovery. So they're like, yo, this guy Galvin got this elixir at this medical college in Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. And then he goes out and he pitches a 2-hit shutout against the Boston Beaneaters. So, bam!
Yeah, correlation equals causation.
100%. So, yeah, it's touted as the elixir of life, and Galvin's performance that day is used as proof that it worked. But thanks to research nowadays, people understand that if you grind up a guinea pig and dog testicles together and then inject it into yourself to say you can lift stuff, you're just a crazy man.
Yeah, you're just a snake oil salesman.
And whatever effect Galvin got from that elixir injection that one day, and only one day, it was completely...
It was entirely psychological.
Yeah.
I've seen Space Jam.
Exactly. Bug stuff.
Yeah.
Mike stuff. Whatever. Bug stuff. Whatever. I'd rather trust Bugs Bunny than Michael Jordan, but that's an aside. I gotta work through that with my therapist. Anyways.
And I took that personally.
Perfect quote. So yeah, we basically know, there was a research paper as recent as 2002 that was that elixir did nothing for anybody. There's no way that helped anybody with anything. Everything was placebo.
I don't think they needed to do that to tell us that.
And you'll find a lot of clickbait saying that Pud Galvin was the first man to use PEDs. And you'll find out that, he's in the Hall of Fame. So a lot of people even go further.
I see what you're getting at now.
And conflate that, because Pud Galvin was in the Hall of Fame, why shouldn't other people be in the Hall of Fame? Which, whatever, we're not hashing this out today. But this was a one-time thing that definitely did
not do anything. If anything, it poisoned his blood.
He dies early, as we're about to find out. Probably because of this. If you want to sue me, whatever, Bernard Galvin, whatever, or not Galvin, Brown Sequard family, bring it. It doesn't work. It's and 1889 is also Galvin's worst year. As I noted, he pitches above a 4 ERA. So because he pitched a 2-hitter one day doesn't mean shit. Galvin, as you have guessed, Ed's based on the California story, or what was said when he left Buffalo. He didn't like management or ownership. So Players League comes along, 1890. Gone.
Sign him up.
Yeah, he plays for the Pittsburgh Burgers. I don't
Pittsburgh
know.
Burgers?
There's an H in there that's fucking me up. He didn't do great. He has a 12-13 record with a 4.35 ERA over 217 innings. Galvin was 34 and starting to put on a considerable amount of weight considering his short height. He would eventually get up to 250 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
He's a big steam engine.
Yeah, he's not the little steam engine anymore. And I'm sure as we noted, his neck is just
on there.
dipping down lower and lower every year.
You know the mayor in Nightmare Before Christmas?
Yeah, that's what I'm picturing
That's what
too.
I'm picturing.
Yeah, that's perfect. Okay. So the Players League folds. Listen to our episodes on that. And he returns to the NL with the Pittsburgh Statistics, where he pitched 33 games to a 2.88 ERA over 246 and 2/3 innings pitched in his last full season in Pittsburgh. So pretty good. You know, at this point, they're bringing on more pitchers. There's 2 or 3 pitchers instead of 1 or 2 pitchers. 1892 would be Galvin's last in the majors, though. Halfway through the year, he's sold to St. Louis, and he goes back home. St. Louis sucks, as we know. He appeared in 12 games for St. Louis before the season ended. He did put up a respectable 2.92 ERA and logged 188 innings pitched. Those would be Galvin's last in the majors. He continued to attempt comebacks late into his 30s. He's like 35 at this point, which is pretty old. And there's like a Sporting Life article, I didn't include it, that's like, you know, some baseball fans like, he traveled 87 million miles and threw 48,000 pitches, and, you know, somebody does the math. So look that up if you want to. But when he retires from baseball, he held the MLB record for wins, starts, complete games, and innings pitched. So some of those have been surpassed, obviously. But when he retires, he has all those records. In early January 1894, Galvin and 2 friends were visiting a sick friend and then headed to a bar. As you would. You're like, friend's dying. Let's get drunk.
Let's go have a drink. Yeah.
They met a tailor named H.W. Hubbard, who introduced himself to the group, which is
like,
one
indication. I got a bunch of things you can inject into yourself if you're interested.
But Galvin's like, no, I already get my monkey or dog testicles already injected.
I got a monkey ball guy.
So I go back to his Saber bio here, and I quote, "Shortly after leaving Hubbard's company, the group was arrested for stealing $250 pin and a $125 gold watch from the tailor. Galvin and his friends were jailed overnight, where they shared cells with miscreants and pestilent insects." Which is really fucked up. Anyways, continue. The men went before a judge the next day, expecting to plead their case. But the judge dropped the charges because there was no evidence against them. They all they're like, you stole this stuff. And then they searched them. And they're like, you don't have any of it. The angry group sought out Hubbard and demanded an explanation for the false accusation. But Hubbard's friends and police protected him. Galvin and his friends vowed to sue Hubbard, but it's unclear if they ever pursued litigation. So that's like kind of a fucked up story, I guess.
Yeah.
Just like him, like, imagine like marching around. Like, there's no phone call. There's no yellow pages. If anybody even gets that reference, they're like, where the fuck's this tailor that screwed us last night? Just wandering around St. Louis. So they went back. He goes back.
Be difficult.
Yeah, he goes back and he actually plays in Buffalo one last time. But this time the Bisons are playing in the Eastern League, which is much lower. 1894. It didn't go well. He's 250 pounds plus at this point. He pitched poorly in 3 games, and they're like, nah, you're done.
Sorry, Pud.
But remember, he's super nice. Super nice. He becomes an umpire, but that wouldn't last long. He makes it like 1 season.
Yeah, you got to be mean at this time.
Yeah, this is terrible Tim Hurst territory.
Yeah, Tim Hurst just bullied him out of being an umpire.
So he leaves umpiring. He's too nice for that. He becomes a saloon owner, and he's not really good at business.
There must have been so many saloons.
Well, this is the funny part. Like, he's not good at business. I swear to God, he probably like is one of those business owners that like trains people up, and then they're like, "Oh, fuck this guy! I'm gonna go open my own bar now that I know everything."
Yeah,
and that's what happens. Each of the 9 bartenders that he trains open their own saloons.
Okay.
He does worse and worse.
A farm team. He's like a bar farm team.
Yeah, he's a better coach than he is as a business owner.
Okay.
He just had to be too nice. That's all I can think is like he just had to be too like he couldn't do it as an umpire or like just like just like I'm a bar owner, but like here's how you run a business, and the person's like taking notes, and he's like, that's not malicious. They're not gonna go open a bar across the street. Anyways, on October 1st, 1896, an exhibition game between bartenders and 39-year-old Galvin pitched, and he pitched poorly. He gave up 20 hits to Pittsburgh bartenders.
Oh my God.
So this is where we're at.
hammered.
Yeah, absolutely. 1900, the Galvin family was dirt poor. He didn't save much money. Remember, he held out for a good salary that one year. Remember about the flannel shirts and like the hand eating and shit like that?
Mm-hmm.
So when he got used to money, he began dressing extremely nice and would wear leather shoes, white duck pants, and of course, a stylish straw hat.
Well, of course.
Yeah, so he basically spent all his family's money on hats, which, as baseball fans, we can all relate to.
I understand.
I totally understand.
I don't see a problem.
I don't see a problem with you buying that many stylish straw hats.
Yeah.
So
I bought one a couple weeks ago.
Oh, sorry. 1908, an article quoted Dave F. Kerr, a former executive with Pittsburgh. Pity the old man wouldn't heed. He drew a big salary and was one of the most popular players of his age, but his fame finally fled. You can talk about your pitchers, but to me, Galvin looked one of the best men of his period. Change of pace, etc., made him a corker. The little steam engine made a fortune for the ball clubs, but his bit frittered away despite the efforts of his good wife, who tried hard to induce her good-natured husband to lay up some cash for stormy times.
So you're saying his wife tried to get him to squirrel a bit of money away, but he was like, nah, have you seen the line of new hats?
Yeah. I'm going to pitch forever. I'm going back to Buffalo, didn't you hear? So, to make things worse, Galvin became ill in 1901. And on March 7th, 1902, at the age of 45, Galvin died in Pittsburgh, most likely of stomach cancer. An event was held, including boxing and music, to raise money for his wife and children. As mentioned, when retired, Galvin was probably the second best pitcher of his era, which was probably the first era. But his legacy began to fade despite holding a number of notable single-season records for a long time, including complete games and innings pitched. Finally, in the 1940s, Joseph M. Overfield, a Buffalo baseball historian who took a special interest in Galvin, began to push for his induction in the Hall of Fame. It was a slow process, but finally in 1965, James Francis Galvin was inducted in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Nice.
So
I'm amazed actually that knowing that 300 games is like the benchmark for pitchers in the Hall of Fame essentially.
Yeah.
And he was the first guy to do it. I'm quite amazed that how long had the Hall of Fame been open at that point? 25 years probably?
30 years, yeah.
Yeah, I'm amazed it took that long.
Yeah. But he's inducted finally 1965. Galvin has 2 living children alive for the ceremony, Walter and Mary. They were at the ceremony, and Walter Galvin, who was 78 years old, spoke for his father and said, "I thank you for remembering him. You waited a long time to catch up with the old gent." And that's Pug Galvin.
That's a simple way of putting it.
Well, I like it's because he was a nice guy. He was an old gent.
No, that's great. That's awesome. It's a great story of we were talking about earlier about someone who kind of, maybe not so much now, but got lost in obscurity for a while there.
Who goes to the Hall of Fame being like, I want to find Pud Galvin?
That's true.
Old Hoss? Sure.
Yeah, sure.
But I think it's.
I'm sure there's people out there, but
yeah. That was just as I say, the walking through the desert, and then the weird testosterone concoction that he put into his body.
It most certainly contributed to his downfall.
Oh God, might have killed him. Who knows?
Yeah.
But until next time, you can find us on the internet on Twitter at Doing Baseball, and on Instagram and TikTok at Doing.Baseball.
That's right. And I am also on TwitterX.com at EdsDoBaseball.
And I'm at SeanDoBaseball. And wherever you're listening to us, however you're listening to us, please give us a review, give us a follow, give us a whatever.
A rating.
Rating. That's it.
That's what you're looking for.
That's what I'm looking for. And we'll have some more baseball history in a couple weeks. And until next time, I'm Sean.
And I'm Eds.
And we were doing the baseball.
Okay, bye.
Bye.